In these videos, I assume that you're a business owner. I assume that you're a business owner with perhaps a small team. Maybe you're working with your partner, your spouse. It doesn't really matter what sort of business you run. I spend a lot of my time working with lots of people in the creative world, just people who are, designing things, building things, making things. Just that's the way it is. But over the 35 years I've been helping business owners, I've pretty much dealt with every type of trade you can possibly think of, including some that is like, wow, people make a living doing that. Yeah, it's always, I love it when I find a new business or a new trade that's something I've never heard of before and somebody's making money. It's really quite, just amazing what people can actually do. But along this journey of helping business owners, we come back to the same old problem of sales. And I'm not a sales and marketing expert. My career started off as an accountant, has evolved over the years, and I'm now a qualified mentor and coach, and that's what I spend nearly all of my time doing. We still run an accountancy practice in the background, and we help some of our clients do that. And if that's the sort of thing you want to talk to us about, there's a link below. Happy to have a conversation. But the reality is that whether we're talking about money and accounting and tax and all that jazz that goes on, or budgets and forecasts, these are all things that businesses should be actually paying more than just lip service to. They should be actually paying attention to. Then on the other side of it, you've got to deliver the thing that you do. You've got to deliver your service, your product. And I don't, probably as a result of my marketing, I don't often find a prospective client who doesn't have a passion for what they do. I think that's why I end up with people in the design industry, because people who are creative have a passion for the art they're in, the design they're in. You can't create something out of nothing without a bit of passion and enthusiasm. So that's what I think. I like that sort of world. But you've got to deliver. And then you might find as you grow your business, you're employing people. So now you have a people problem. You've got to manage people, manage people's emotions, manage people how they are. And you can imagine that, if you've got 52 members of staff, you could literally have a staff problem every week of the year, because one of those members of staff will have some sort of crisis in their life at home, and that will have an impact on your work. And you have to have a system and a process for dealing with that, looking after them, making sure they're okay, etc., and making sure that you're getting the best out of them. For somebody to have a job, you have to make money out of them. That's kind of why the job exists. And if they don't want you to make money out of them, then they need to go off and run their own business and become their own boss. And that's fine. That's how it all works. But the point is that you're employing somebody, they've got to contribute to your operation rather than be a drain on your operation. Now, sometimes there's a bit of give and take, and sometimes that's how life is. So we've got to do that. So it's a people problem, or it's an operational problem, or it's a money problem. But all of these problems often lead back to one simple solution, and that is actually your sales and marketing. And in order to help you think about your sales and marketing, I want you to recognize that I also know and understand that a large proportion of business owners don't like sales and marketing. And I used to be like that. And I've given it a lot of thought, and I now see this more and more now that I've really thought this through, and I've been on lots of marketing courses and sales courses, and actually I've been very lucky. I've been coached by some of the world's best marketing people. I've gone across to places like America and met with people like Dan Kennedy and people like that. And so I've got some input where I now understand it a lot more. I'm not an expert, but I am sales and marketing for my own business, so I do. And that is the reason we don't like sales and marketing is because we don't understand it. We literally don't understand it. People will say things like, well, you've got to spend money on marketing. Well, how do I know it's going to work? Well, 50% of it will work and 50% of it won't work. We just don't know which 50%. That's a phrase that I've heard loads of times over the years. To a certain degree, it's true, but not in that context. It's true if you're doing split testing. If you're actually testing a particular marketing campaign and you've got an A-B split test, some of it will work and some of it won't. Well, guess what? The bit doesn't work, you stop doing it and you continue doing the stuff that works. Okay? Marketing in and of itself is a profession, is a skill that needs to be learned, just as accounting and bookkeeping is a skill, just as managing staff is a skill, just as delivering quality services and products is a skill. You've got skills, certain skills that you naturally have because of your training to date, which probably makes you a good designer or a good producer of the thing that you produce. Okay, it may be that you had a past life of managing people, so you're also a good manager. It might be that you actually like numbers and therefore you're quite good at bookkeeping and accounting. That makes sense. But there are plenty of people who don't have these skills, including no skills in sales and marketing. But what I want to do is I want to bring this back to what thing do you need to know and what is the critical thing? Because you can go off and create a campaign and we could say, I'm going to show you how to do Instagram posts. Might be irrelevant. Okay, because it starts off with, where are your ideal customer? Where do they hang out? And it starts off even further than that, and that is, who is your ideal customer? To whom are you trying to sell to? And this is, I've drawn this up here because if we look at marketing as a big piece of cake, all right, this bit is the most important bit. It's the pond you're fishing in. Okay, you need more of your effort to decide where these people are and who these people are. So in this pond are people who are likely to be your customer. And they're sitting in this pond. Equally, there's a pond over here, and a pond over here, and a pond over here, and a pond over here, with people who are other people's ideal customers over there. Okay? And if you are finding that you are picking up clients for your business who cause you pain, cause you problems, don't pay you on time, quibble about your prices, challenge you on everything, it's possibly because you're fishing in the wrong pond. And that's as simple as it is. And that makes a huge difference, which is why it's really important. Because if the person, and let's just pick one of these people out, if this is your ideal prospect, your ideal client, somebody that is a perfect client, if that is that perfect client, and they have a problem that you can solve, in other words, your offer is the solution to their problem, your message to sell them that becomes less of an issue. Example, you've got raving toothache and your dentist has a time slot this morning and can sort that for you. How hard does that dentist have to sell that time slot to you? Not very hard. You're his ideal client, you've got toothache, he can fix that because that's what he specializes in. So the offer is he can fix your toothache fast. You just turn up and you can go, oh, that's toothache. You go, sit down, let's fix it and let's get paid, right? The conversation becomes really, really very simple. But what people do when they are caught up in marketing, when I say people, business owners do, because we don't understand it. And this is how I used to do it. I used to spend all my time here trying to work out what my message was, trying to work out how to post. I can remember years ago trying to post on Instagram before it was all easy. And I was taught by this guy that I had to take some images, do it in something like PowerPoint, and then there was a special feature in the depth of PowerPoint that could turn it into a square. Then you downloaded that, and then you could go across to Instagram and you could upload it, and Instagram liked it. It was the only way that we knew how to do it. It was horrible just getting a post out, let alone worrying about what to say and how to say it, etc. Okay, so the messaging can become really difficult. Plus, when you start looking into the messaging of your business, you will realize there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in that messaging. And that's all, again, going to be relating to your ideal client. So if you are finding that you've got clients who are chipping away at your prices and basically price buyers, then your conversation with those people is always going to be about the price. If somebody approaches you and basically says, how much? Your conversation is, well, here's my price. They go, well, that's too much. And then you're in a tug of war against what you believe the price to be. Now that I've seen happen a lot. And then suddenly you find in 6 months' time, a year's time, you're running out of money. And it's because, quite simply, the people that you're attracting in your world aren't paying you enough. They're paying you, but they might not be paying you enough. Or you've got customers who will come to accept your prices and then delay payment or try and negotiate a bit off just before they pay you. I've seen that before. I've had that happen to me before. One of the standout moments have just reminded me, it was a long time ago. I used to act for this guy who, back in the days, we're talking back in probably the late 1990s, he was a decent sized client for me, paying me about £12,000 a year for the services that we were doing. And I liked him, all right? He was a funny guy. He had a business and it worked and I liked him. But every time I put my invoice in, it would be £3,000 invoice, £4,000 invoice. Every time I did this, because we did a pile of work for him, he would then sit on not paying me. And then he'd say to me, oh, next time you're in the area, pop in, I've got a check for you in the drawer here. In the old days when we had checks. And so I would drive 40 minutes out of my way to turn up at his office. Either one, he wouldn't be there, or two, he would give me £1,000 on account. And after a while, I just went, I'm done with this. I'm done with this. And I actually wrote him a letter and I fired him. And this was part of my journey of learning. I actually fired him. It felt so good to go, do you know what? I don't need it. But it also felt very scary because at the time it was a decent part of our fees. It was ongoing fees. And I was saying goodbye to what was one of my biggest fee paying clients. But I was also saying goodbye to all of the pain that went with it. But more importantly, it changed things in me. It changed my approach. It meant that I'd originally picked this guy up from this pond, and I had lots of people like him who messed around paying me. And I changed my marketing message to talk to these people who were different people in a different pond. Now, ultimately, there's still people running a business, but there's a caliber of person. There's a way people respect you, the way people treat you, that makes all the difference. And fast forward, I'm sitting here running a business for 35 years or so, and many of our clients have been with us now for 10 or 15 years, and some even more, okay? Because they've been in our world for such a long time. We look after them on an ongoing basis, and because they're great people and we like them, and I guess they must like us, we stay in our worlds and we work together on an ongoing basis. That suits me as a business owner because I've got continuity of good people in, but it also tells me where to fish with the next group of people. So therefore, everything you see in the description below this video, the titles of the videos, the titles of my YouTube channel are all relevant because it's talking to one particular person. Okay, and hopefully that's you watching this, because if you're watching this, you're going, oh, okay, I'm your ideal client. Yeah, you may well be. Okay, so in the old days, we used to go and attract our clients down here, and we used to basically take on work, do the work, then get paid. That came home to roost when one Christmas I had run out of money. I had loads of money owed to me. I had loads of money tied up in work in progress, but I personally didn't have any money to basically buy my Christmas presents. And enough was enough. I was fed up being poor. Okay, on paper we were making a profit, but I felt poor because I couldn't buy my loved ones presents for Christmas because I had no money. And it was caused because the people that we had in our business, the customers we had, were the wrong people. And of course, the more you attract of that type of customer, you then get sucked into that world of people, and they recommend their friends, and you end up with a whole bunch of customers in that same sort of portfolio. So by changing where our customers are likely to hang out and where I'm likely to have conversations with customers, then we can actually have a better chance of finding better quality clients that fit the type of business. Then the offer and the message doesn't matter so much. However, in researching your ideal client, there's two things that we do, and we teach this, is that we actually have, I'm going to put this in a different color for you. We actually have two of these ideal personas, okay? And we call them Alex and Chris. Alex is the ideal client. Everything about Alex is brilliant. Alex is the sort of thing that we would happily work for all day long, every day, because they fit everything that we know about them. Not just the demographics of age and type of business, etc. The psychographics, how they operate, how they feel, how they think. Okay, it takes a while to understand this. But we also have Chris. Alex and Chris are neither male nor female, but Chris comes into our life. We know immediately that we don't want to work with Chris. And we will do everything to repel Chris in our life. So as an example, if you came to us as a client and you wanted long-term service from us, you will get mentoring and coaching, and you'll be part of our 90-day program, and you'll be part of our online system, and we will help you every week, every month. We are available for you all of the time as we possibly can to help you run your business. But you pay by direct debit. If you said, I'm not paying by direct debit, that's it. Game over. We don't go any further. So everything we do is on a direct debit. Okay, that's just one simple rule. We also have a rule where you don't phone us as a client. You might have our phone number, but you don't phone us. You don't just randomly phone us on a 6 o'clock on a Friday evening with your problems. You book an appointment with us through our calendar system. We will speak to every single client as much as they possibly want on one agreement that they book an appointment in the calendar. Because if you phone me at 6 o'clock on a Friday night, I'm probably doing something else that's either much more important to me or more important to the people that I'm with. So if I'm talking already to a client, I can't take your call. If I'm spending time with my family, I can't take your call. But if you book an appointment in my calendar, I will allocate time that I'm happy to talk to anybody. Take your pick when you want to do it. So these are kind of rules that we put in. So you build in rules and boundaries around your ideal client. And while you are identifying that, you may realize that your offer, the thing that you are offering them currently, maybe sits down over here. This is your offer. Your offer might need to change. The way you help them might need to change. The service that you offer might need them to change. That then leads on to, what is it that this ideal client wants from you? It took me years to understand this back when I was running my accountancy service and just selling accounts and tax. Nobody wants a tax return, but we sold tax returns. But nobody wants a tax return. I don't know anybody wants a tax return. I don't even want a tax return. Horrible thing. Nobody wants to fill a bunch of forms in, do it online and send it to the Inland Revenue for them to judge you and send you a tax bill. Nobody wants that. But what I realized along the way is that the clients that we had, the good clients that we had, they didn't want a tax return either. What they wanted was somebody to trust. What they wanted was somebody who's in their corner. What they wanted was somebody they could have regular conversations with about their life and business as the ebbs and flows of life and business. That they had somebody that understood them, knew what they were trying to do, and kept them, when needed, on the right track. That is where then you can see why I ended up being a fully qualified coach and mentor, because to look after our clients, I was spending way more time coaching and mentoring than I was doing the accountancy tax. Therefore, the product became different. I suddenly realized I needed to change the offer. But the offer was exactly what these people wanted. And because I now understood who I'm selling to whom I'm selling to, I knew exactly what they wanted. And because I know what they want and who they are, again, the messaging becomes so much easier, because the messaging is, okay, this is what we do, this is how we work, this is who we talk to. And Alex will turn up and go, that's me. I need to book a call with this guy. Whereas Chris will turn up and go, I'm not doing that. Who does he think he is? And they'll disappear. And I'm going to actually spend more time repelling Chris, because the Alexes will filter them their way through. So what you might find is that this section here might be much more 80-20. 20% of the people will be the people that want to see it, and 80% will reject it. Okay, and that will show up in the comments. So from your business perspective, ask yourself the question, are you fishing in the right pond? Do you know who you're looking for? Do you know from your marketing message? Do you know where they're even hanging out? Years ago, I was talking to a very, very successful property developer and estate agent. Unbelievably successful, really good at what he was doing. And he was selling high-end luxury properties. And he discovered that back in the days, he was putting posters of the houses that were for sale, nice posters made up, this particular house is for sale, here's the details, this is what you need to do, at the golf club. And he discovered that if he put the poster up on the wall in the toilets, they got a bit more attention than out in the bar. Okay. But what he also discovered was putting that poster up in the ladies got much more attention than in the gents. And therefore, where you put your message in front of the right person is also very critical. So you might be posting on Instagram because everybody tells you you've got to post on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or TikTok or whatever. But is that where your ideal client is spending their time? If you're servicing clients who are busy business owners who are engaged in high-end services themselves. We've got clients, for example, in the super yacht industry, and them doing a TikTok dance to sell their services is probably a waste of time, because the customers who are spending large sums of money with them on something that's important to them actually isn't wasting their time on TikTok. They're serious business owners, seriously wealthy, doing other things. Now, they might be wasting a bit of time on TikTok, but they won't be wasting a lot of time. But putting information out in front of them where they're likely to be is much more profitable for them. So if you're trying to sell to people in, say, the boating industry, one of the best places to turn up is where there are boats, boatyards, shipyards, regattas, boat shows. They would be a good place to start, because anybody who's interested in boats are likely to be there. Now, when you get there, there'll be a bunch of people who are not your ideal client, but one or two will be. Okay? And then all of the communication that goes on around that is part of that. It's just a very simple example. What we're simply saying is the more you know about this person and the more you know about what you're selling to them, because you will discover that you might need to change that, then the easier your marketing message is. Whereas most people who are running their business, this is marketing. Posting on social media is marketing. That's how they perceive it. Networking. I've got to go to networking. I've got to go meet people. Yeah, you have. But let's go to the right networking events. Let's go to the right trade show. Let's actually do a targeted marketing campaign. If you're really clear about who you're selling to, where are they? Could you do some research and actually find their address? Could you then actually send a letter? Could you do something which is called a Dream 100? Could you actually select 100 absolutely perfect ideal customers that you'd like to work to and send out 100 letters, do a marketing campaign specifically to these people, to drive these people to your business because you're likely to sell them this new offer? Do you see how it changes completely different from the message? Because now we're talking about writing a letter. Why would you write a letter? Well, there's all sorts of things you can do with the postal service that you can't do with an email. So many people are just bored of emails coming through. How often do you get a letter in the post? What if it was a really nice letter? One of our clients has just recently done a coconut campaign. He sent a letter out in a box with a coconut and a little smiley face. Why has somebody sent me a coconut? Now you have their attention. Now there's a whole message around the coconut and the message he sent, and etc., to get them to do something. The take-up rate for that little campaign is huge, because he's got something very memorable that's arrived on somebody's doormat, but he's done all the work researching the addresses of these specific people that he's actually targeting. So you're going out picking up, like with a sniper gun, picking off one client at a time, rather than a machine gun effect, which is let's scatter as much noise as we can on social media and hope that somebody comes forward to it. It then becomes much more measurable from that point of view as well. I sent out 100, you can say to yourself, I sent out 100 letters and 2 people responded. Great. And they were great clients, and they were really good clients that paid us our services. Great. What could I do to improve that? Send another 100. Okay. Send 98 letters to the people who said no and tell them that they missed out because 2 of them said yes. There's so many things that you could do with that. Just do more of it, because you've now started to crack the code on what works and what doesn't. So as I say, I'm not a marketing expert, but I do a lot of this stuff for my own business. I also understand from an accounting perspective that you're in business to make money, okay? And we're not talking about sales. Every time somebody talks to me about a sales target, I will straight away challenge it and go, what's the profit target? I want to know what your profitability is, because your profitability can be influenced by changing this one group. You could find a different group of people to sell a better offer which means you do a better job and a better service. So it's better for them because you give a better service and a better job, better for you because you do the right thing and you get paid more. And you could end up actually selling to more people at a higher price and making more money than your current model. These are sorts of questions that we should be having. This leads into things like positioning and pricing and systems. And what we want to be doing is looking at premium pricing, premium position and premium systems. Things that work really tight, things that are automated, things that work really well. And do something really well again and again and again. Okay, and monitor it and check it. That's the sort of conversations. What I'm sharing with you here today is the sort of conversation. If you came and spent a day with me, imagine what that would lead to if you now started asking questions about your business and how this could affect you and what we need to do next. Because there's specifics we can do off the back of this now as a bit of homework, bit of research, get your team involved, change things around. That's the process we go through. So I hope that helps in some way. If you've stuck to the end of it, absolutely brilliant. If you want to leave some comments, questions, that'll help me do the next video, because everything I'm going to share on here is for two reasons. One, I am looking for new clients. Come and book a call with us. But I also know that I can't help everybody. And there's a bunch of people that can't afford our fees and services, but I'm happy to help them anyway. And I can do that through the medium of YouTube videos. See you soon.